Dear students of class 9, subject biology, unit 5, human anatomy and physiology. Today we are going to learn chapter 13, skin, the jack of all trades. The skin is not a just simple organ. It is the covering and it has many other functions. That is why it is called as jack of all trades. Skin is the most active organ of the body, functioning in numerous ways. The most apparent feature of an aged person, healthy youth, or a tender infant is a texture of skin. That is, by looking at the skin texture, we can say the age of the person. We can estimate at least, may not be the exact age. And it is the largest organ which comprises of 15% of our body weight. Primarily, skin is impermeable barrier. That is, it will not allow toxins and some of the substances, not some of, any substance inside. There are various functions. First function is protection. How does it protect our body? Skin protects our body in 4 ways. It protects underlying tissues from mechanical shocks. It holds the body fluids inside and prevents excessive loss of water by evaporation. It prevents harmful substances or disease-causing germs entering our body, and it also protects our body against excess ultraviolet light. Is it clear? Now it also does another function called sensation. That is why it is also called sensory organ. It gives us sense of touch, pain, pressure, heat, etc. That is why anybody pinches you or beats you, slaps you, you will know. Temperature regulation. It also maintains our temperature. Our body temperature is constant. That is why we are called warm-blooded animals. That is, our temperature is maintained by the skin. The skin prevents loss of heat in cold weather and facilitates loss of heat in hot weather. Got it? That is how it regulates temperature and maintains temperature constant. It also acts as storage of food. It stores food underneath as an adipose tissue. You have learned in your tissues lesson. Fat containing tissue. Excretion. It acts as an excretory organ. Very little of salts and water are thrown out in the form of sweating. But to certain extent, urea is also thrown out. But it won't come completely under excretory system. And the system of skin is integumentary system. Skin comes under integumentary system. What is skin? Good. Skin is outermost covering of the body. It is stretched all over in the form of layers. There are many structures and glands derived from the skin, and it also helps in synthesis of vitamin D. The skin can synthesize vitamin D when exposed to sunshine. Got it? And very little we know about it. We are not sure. That is why you find people sunbathe in beaches and all. Grip. It gives us grip, and you all know, no? When we are walking and all, we get grip. Now, structure of skin. Structure of skin includes the following things: outer epidermis and inner dermis. Got it? So we call it as skin proper and also derivatives. Like that, 2 things will take. What is skin proper made up of? Epidermis and dermis. What are derivatives of the skin? Hair, nails, mammary glands, sweat glands and sebaceous gland. That only we are going to learn in detail in our lesson. Outer epidermis. The epidermis is the outermost of 3 layers that make up the skin. Got it? The inner layers being the dermis and hypodermis. The outer thinner part of the skin is made up of epidermis. So it is formed of stratified epithelium piled up layer after layer. That is why we call stratified. You have learned this in tissues lesson. It is devoid of blood vessels at all places. Devoid means not having. Got it? It is made up of 3 regions, namely outermost cornified layer, that is called as stratum corneum, and the middle granular layer, that is called as stratum granulosum, and the inner malphigian layer, that is called stratum malphigii or germinative layer. Is it clear? So you can see all those layers clearly in the picture. Stratum corneum, stratum lucidum, stratum granulosum, stratum spinosum, and stratum basilae and dermis. Below that you will get dermis. Now we are going to learn about outermost cornified layer. Outermost cornified layer, stratum corneum. It is the outermost layer consisting of several piled up layers of flattened dead cells. These cells are made up of fibrous structural protein called keratin. The cornified layer is tough and offers resistance to 3 things, that is mechanical damage, bacterial infection and loss of water by evaporation. Got it? Dead cells, which is the layer which is made up of dead cells, stratum corneum. Got it? Beneath that, cells arise from the deeper malphigian layers. Got it? Now, middle layer called granular layer. It is very thin middle layer consisting of 2 or 3 sublayers of flattened cells. Gradually, it gives way to the outermost cornified layer, the inner malphigian layer. It is made up of cells which are actively divided to produce new cells which press and shift outward to replace the worn out cells and outermost cornified layer. That is, you understand by this, all these layers are produced by stratum malphigii. Got it? And the coloration of the skin is due to pigment present in this layer called melanin. Got it? The different quantities of the pigment define different races. Got it? The different people, we say they are light brown, dark, and the coloration of the skin. Got it, children? So we say in fair colored people, or we call them Europeans whitish, Indians in the intermediate wheatish, like that. Got it? Some people Africans dark colored. All these are due to the pigment. The skin pigment acts like an umbrella to protect inner parts of the body from the harmful effects of the UV rays of sunlight, which can cause skin cancer. Got it? And we have some abnormalities, a few abnormalities caused due to skin pigmentation. First one is leukoderma, and also called as vitiligo. You might have seen people completely or sometimes here and there patches, white color patches. So there are 2 things, completely pink and having some white patches. These 2 are the diseases caused due to skin pigmentation. Now, the skin pigmentation, melanin is lost from smaller or larger patches at different regions of the body. Then it is called as vitiligo or leukoderma. Got it, children? And the cause is still not known. It is yet to be known. And albinism, complete loss of pigmentation of the skin all over the body, including hairs, eyebrows, eyelashes, and even the iris. The skin of affected individuals appear pinkish because of the underlying blood capillaries. Albinism is recessive trait caused due to inheritance. Recessive trait means it is suppressed and suddenly in one generation it will appear. That is inheritance, that is hereditary disorder. An albino couple would definitely produce all albino children. Got it? Now, functions of the epidermis. The epidermis layer provides barrier to infection from environmental pathogens. It regulates the amount of water released from the body into the atmosphere through the transepidermal water loss. The epidermis is composed of multiple layers, flattened cells that overlie a base layer called stratum basale, composed of columnar cells arranged perpendicularly. Inner dermis. Now we are moving on to inner dermis. I hope you all understood epidermis. The skin consists of two layers, that is epidermis and dermis. Beneath the dermis lies the hypodermis or subcutaneous fatty tissues. The dermis is the inner thick layer of connective tissue made of elastic fibers. It is tough and flexible. The dermis contains several other structures, blood vessels, nerve fibers, sensory organs, hair follicles, sweat glands, etc. The outer regions of the dermis, which lies next to the epidermis, is numerous small processes called papillae, which contains blood capillaries and nerve endings. The nerve endings and sense organs are concerned with sensation of touch and pain. There are some more sensory receptors in the deeper parts which are concerned with the sensation of pressure, pain, heat, cold, etc. So now by this you understand all these sensory things happen in the dermis. What is due to papillae and sensory receptors. And so many glands here. So all the derivatives, where do you find? We find them in the dermis area. And leather, which we get, no children, that we get from the hides, is actually from the dermis part of the animal's body. Now we are going for the functions of the dermis. The role of the epidermis, you have understood, it acts as an umbrella. Correct? Now we are going to learn about the role of the dermis. Is to support and protect the skin and deeper layers, assist in thermoregulation, and aid in sensation. Fat, the layer beneath the dermis, contain numerous fat cells called adipose tissue. This subcutaneous fat not only serves as a food reserve but also acts as heat insulating, that is thermoregulating layer, as well as shock absorbers. If there is no fat layer underneath the skin, whatever you touch, wherever you have, will have severe pain, children. That friction will be more. It is acting like a cushion. Derivatives of the skin. The derivatives of the skin include hair, nails, sebaceous glands, sweat glands, mammary glands. Got it? So it comes under integumentary system. So what is integumentary system? Means skin derivatives, namely sweat glands, sebaceous glands, hair, nails, etc. Is that clear? Now before going for the derivatives, now we are going to have some small questions. What is the difference between albinism and vitiligo? What are the 3 layers of the skin? What are the main functions of the skin? And can you call skin as sensory organ, etc.? Is it clear? Now we move to the hair. Hair consists of 3 parts. Hair shaft. The hair shaft is a part of our hair that can be seen above our scalp. It is made up of a protein called keratin, compacted and fused together. Hair root. The rest of the hair, which is anchored in the follicle, lies below the surface of the skin and is referred to as the hair root. The hair root ends deep in the dermis at the hair bulb and includes a layer of mitotically active basal cells called hair matrix. Here mitotically means that is a division where cells will divide and multiply mitotically. Got it? That is not in a genital cells, in a growing cells, growth related cells. Now, hair bulb. The hair bulb forms the base of the hair follicle. In the hair bulb, living cells can divide and grow to build the hair shaft. Blood vessels nourish the cells in the hair bulb. Now we are moving to the anatomy of the hair follicle. Hair follicle is a tunnel-shaped structure in epidermis of the skin. Hair starts growing at the bottom of the hair follicle. The root of the hair is made up of protein cells and is nourished by blood from the nearby blood vessels. Hair follicles contain pigment cells that produce melanin. The color of hair is due to the varying quantities of melanin. When melanin production decreases, hair becomes grey, silvery, or even completely white. That is why in aged people we find that graying of hair, and we call that grey hair. Location of hair. Hair or along the edges of eyelids to help prevent the entry of foreign particles into the eye. There are hair in the nose to prevent dust particles from entering nasal passages. Facial hair in human, that is males, mustache and beards. Hair also located on the head, chest and armpit, etc. Now we are moving to another derivative called nail. A nail is a claw-like keratinous plate at the tip of the finger and toes in most primates. Got it? Primates include mammals also, all mammals, most of the mammals. Fingernails grow from the matrix. The nails are composed largely of keratin, a hardened protein that is also in the skin and hair. The average growth rate for nails is 0.1 millimeter each day or 1 centimeter in 100 days. The exact rate of nails growth depends on numerous factors including the age and sex of the individual and the time of year. Fingernails generally grow faster in young people, in males and in the summer. A nail has 3 parts, namely nail plate, nail bed, nail matrix. The nail plate is hard part of the nail made up of translucent keratin protein. Translucent means partially transparent. The main function of the nail plate is to protect the living nail bed of the finger and toes. The nail plate is composed of layers of keratinized skin cells. Nail bed, this is the portion of the skin upon which the nail plate rests. It has a very rich supply of blood and lymph vessels to keep nail healthy. The function of the nail bed is to supply nourishment and protection. Nail matrix. Nail matrix is the area where our finger nails and toenails start to grow. The matrix creates new skin cells which pushes out the old dead skin cells to make our nails. As a result, injuries to the nail bed or disorders that affect the matrix can affect your nail growth. Now we are moving to sebaceous or sweat glands. Sebaceous glands, these are branched glands usually open into a hair follicle. Though sometimes they even open directly to the outside. They give out an oily secretion called sebum, which makes the hair and the outer surface of the skin oily and waterproof to keep the epidermis supple and to prevent loss of moisture by evaporation. In cold and dry weather, the skin may become rough and leave powdery surface when stretched. This is due to reduced secretion of oil from the sebaceous glands. In hot and humid weather, the skin becomes extra oily due to an increased secretion of sebum. There are three common problems related to sebaceous glands. Pimples. Sebum accumulation causes growth of bacteria because it is nutritive, gets infected and results into the formation of boils and pimples. Most of the youngsters, girls are more particularly, they become more cautious into pimples. Got it? Pimples may be caused due to age also, children, that adolescent age. So we should not much worry about that. Acne. Sebaceous glands get inflamed due to the hormonal influence. It is one of the commonest problems in adolescents. So pimples and acne, we should not worry at all. Blackheads. When an open pore in the skin gets clogged with the dead skin cells and sebum, it turns black upon oxidation by air and is called a blackhead. Now sweat glands. They are coiled tubular structures vital for regulating human body temperature. Sweat is derived from a Latin word suboriferous. Latin word called suboriferous. They occur all over the body, but most numerous on the forehead, the armpits, the palms, and the soles of the feet. Sweat consists of 99% of water, 0.2 to 0.5% of salts, and traces of urea, that is 0.08%. The major function of the sweat glands is to lose body heat in the form of sweat by evaporation. Sweat pores are openings of sweat glands to the surface of the skin. The number of sweat pores varies from 60 to 80 per square centimeters. On the back 400 per square centimeter. Got it? 60 to 80 per square centimeter. On the back we have 400 per square centimeter on the palms of the hands. Got it, children? That is why we sweat more in the hands. Now skin and the heat regulation. The skin's immense blood supply help in regulating temperature. All mammals and birds are warm-blooded, that is endothermal, and they can be balance the heat loss and pain and can generate their own body temperature. Example, humans show constant temperature of 37 Celsius temperature irrespective of outside conditions. Enzymes work optimally at this temperature. Ectothermal or cold-blooded animals cannot balance the heat loss and gain. Their body temperature fluctuates with the environmental temperature. They suffer heat loss in cold weather. This difficulty is overcome by hibernation and estivation, summer sleep and winter sleep. Ectothermal and endothermal, these terms, cold-blooded and warm-blooded, have been substituted by poikilotherms, poikilo means varying, and homeotherms, homeo means same, respectively. Human body temperature is 37 degrees Celsius in the mouth and 1 degree higher in the rectum and 1 degree lower in the armpits. The body temperature is the balance between heat loss and heat production. The body may also show variations of 0.3 Celsius to 0.5 Celsius in the course of 24 hours. It is lowest in the early morning and the highest in the late evening. In order to maintain the healthy metabolic process, our enzymes need to be functioning on optimal temperature of 37 degrees Celsius, that is 98.6 Fahrenheit degrees. Working of enzymes slow down with the lowering of temperature, while higher temperatures destroy the enzymes altogether. Heat production and heat loss. There are many sources of heat production. Chemical reactions occurring in all body cells, especially in the liver, by the oxidation of glucose, generally produce heat. Most of the heat produced in our body comes from the activity of our muscles. Vigorous activity makes you warm on cold day and overheats you on hot day. A small amount of heat comes from the ingestion of hot foods and beverages. Heat loss. Heat loss from our body through the following channels. Skin. About 80% of the body heat is lost through the skin by convection, conduction, radiation, and through evaporation of sweat. Lungs. Heat is lost in the warm air which is breathed out. Some heat is also lost during vaporization of water from the lungs. Urine and feces, these substances are eliminated at body temperatures. Foods. Heat is also lost when cold food, water or cold beverages are taken into the body. And temperature regulation. The principal heat regulation center is located in the hypothalamus, a portion of the forebrain present in the brain children. This part acts like a thermostat. Thermostat means all know, thermos flask. The temperature will be maintained constant. When the body tends to cool below the normal temperature, it switches on and speeds up the heat producing process. And when the body tends to get overheated, it accelerates the cooling process and switches off heat producing processes. In cold weather, what will happen? Let us see. When outside temperature is very low, the blood vessel gets narrowed. That is called vasoconstriction. Constriction means becoming narrow. This reduces the blood supply to the skin. As a result, there is a loss of heat by convection, conduction and radiation, and also less loss of water heat through the vaporization of sweat. This is a natural method to conserve body heat. When vasoconstriction occurs, it makes a person look pale or bluish because of reduced blood supply to the skin. In hot weather, when the outside temperature is high or when a person is engaged in tremendous strenuous work, physical work, which means overproduction of heat within the body, that is in the gym or some exercise or physical laborers, etc. The blood supply to the skin is increased by the dilation of blood vessels in the skin. That is called vasodilation. This results in greater loss of the heat by radiation, etc. and also by vaporization of sweat, which is now produced in larger quantities due to the rich supply of blood to the skin. Air movements over the body help speed up evaporation of sweat. That is why the fans which do not cool the air of the room having a cooling effect on our body. Got it? Heat stroke or sunstroke. It is a condition in which sweat production is unable to keep pace with its evaporation in very hot winds. This results in the rise in body temperature, which may sometimes be fatal also, that is causing death. Drinking a lot of water and taking a little more of salt in summer is good precaution against heat stroke. Right, now you can see temperature regulation, how it happens in the hot weather and in cold weather. See how the blood vessels narrowed in vasoconstrictions. There is in dilation. In that picture you can see the blood vessels are all broader. They got dilated. Got it, children? I felt the heat regulation is related to the sweat, no? So after sweat glands, I took that part of the lesson. Actually, in your textbook, children, the heat regulation is given at the end. So when you are reading, you can read. Now we are going to continue the derivatives of the skin, that is mammary glands. The mammary glands are milk glands or modified sweat glands. These glands are present in both males and females, but in males they persist only in a rudimentary rate, whereas in females at puberty they enlarge in the form of pair of breasts. Each breast carries a central conical projection called a nipple. 15 to 20 milk ducts open on the nipple. Each milk duct is continued inwards in a branching manner like a grape bunch. Got it? To join a cluster of 15 to 20 lobes of the mammary glands. The activity of the mammary glands is related to the reproductive hormones prolactin and pregnancy. The milk secreted by the mammary gland is highly nutritious for the newborn baby. Got it? There are another two glands which you are going to learn now, called as meibomian glands and ceruminous glands. These glands we find in the as modified glands of the sebaceous glands. Meibomian glands are modified sebaceous glands which open on the margins of the eyelids. Their secretion is oily and serves to lubricate the margins of the lids and prevent the overflow of tears. Don't get confused with the lacrimal glands, children. They are called tear glands. Tear glands are different. They produce tears. These produce oily secretions. That is when you cry, immediately the tears will not come down. Some oily secretion will prevent that coming out. Got it? Now, sir, these are modified sebaceous glands. Now, ceruminous glands. These are modified sebaceous glands found in the auditory canal and secrete wax-like substance called cerumen or earwax, which lubricates and protects the delicate eardrum from dust particles and germs. You might have seen the eardrum, an inner ear or in the middle ear, you will find this wax collection. Is it not? And that wax collection, you will find that you will go to ENT specialist and get removed with that wax if it becomes more. That earwax is nothing but ceruminous glands. Now we are going for some secrets of the skin. The skin of palm is thick, harder and rough. The major lines, so-called fate and lifelines, etc., are simply the creases along which the hand fixes and folds. That is why we told one of the function is grip. Extremely fine ridges and furrows all over the surface and especially on the fingertips make the patterns of curves and twists. These provide efficient grip due to friction. No two individuals, not even the identical twins, have exactly similar patterns of the fingerprints. Hence, these are important in forensic science. Got it? That is crime detection and some identity and all. The ridges also possess special sensory cells for touch. Dead skin comprises about 1 billion tons of dust in the Earth's atmosphere. Your skin is home to more than 1,000 species of bacteria. Similar to snake that sheds, our skin renews itself every 28 days. Got it? Your skin could weigh more than 20 pounds. Got it? Biology can say much about palm but does not believe in palmistry. So we don't believe in that. Have a nice day. Thank you, children.